If you want to be good at disc golf, no matter how far you can bomb, no matter how many different throws you have, all those different things making your way to the basket, if you can't putt, you're not going to be as good as you could be at your full potential. And that's just how it is. If you want to be good at disc golf, you have to be a good putter. Unless you could somehow put it under the basket every single time. But I've played a lot of disc golf and I haven't really met anyone who can do that. You're going to have to make tough putts and you're going to have to work on that putting to be able to do that. There's a lot of different ways you can work on your putting. Some people like to just fire shots from 15 feet over and over. And some people like to just do pressure putts only, where they're doing fewer volume, but really putting the pressure on themselves. But the question is for you, what is the best thing? I made a list of 5 things that you can do to increase your putting skill. I think if you do all 5 of these, you're bound to become better. Hone in on the ones that you think you need to work on the most, but overall, I think you should use at least all of these a little bit. Number 1 is confidence building. If you want to be a good putter, you have to be confident when you go up to the basket. And if you're practicing 40, 50, 60 footers all day, in your brain, you're going to be thinking, when I'm going to make this putt, I'm going to miss. So when you practice, you want to practice a majority of your putts in a range that you feel comfortable with, or even a range that you feel is like trivial. Because what you need to do is get a really good putting stroke down where you feel super confident every time you step up to a putt, especially within the circle, you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to make this putt. The best way to do this is to take a stack of putters, 5, 10, whatever you want, and just throw 15 footers all day to build that confidence, to hear the chains ring every single time you let go of the disc. Whatever range you can do that with, do it a lot because it builds up confidence. It's really good for you mentally on the course to feel super confident every time you step up to a putt because you've made so many in your recent putting sessions. Okay, 2 is muscle memory, and this one is super important. What I mean by muscle memory is you should have a routine that you stick to every single time you putt. It should be automatic. Every time you're stepping up to your putter, putting your mini down, you should be doing the exact same motions every single time. That way there's no room for error. If you don't have a solid routine, you're going to have little mistakes here and there. You want to have a super solid routine so you could just step up and you're in the zone. You don't have to think about anything except for bringing your hand down, bringing it up, letting go, and hoping it goes into the basket. Number 3 builds off of number 2, and number 2 kind of builds on number 1, but number 3 is consistency. So you want to build that muscle memory, but then you want to be consistent. Don't change things up. And if you're going to change it up, get a ton of reps in. If you change things up too much, you're never going to feel 100%. You're not going to be able to get in the zone. You're always going to be thinking about it a little bit. Think about a time you went and did field work, or maybe you did a session with somebody and they pointed something out, and now it's all you can think of. If you're doing field work and are trying to work on one little particular thing, and you go play the course, you're probably going to play worse because you're thinking about those little things. What you want to do is practice so much and practice the exact same thing so much that you have it down and you don't have to think about it anymore. Every time you make a change, it's going to make it a little bit harder to get back on track there. So you have to make sure whatever changes you make are intentional and you practice them enough that you have them wired into your brain. Number 4 is pattern recognition. This one's really important because you're going to miss putts. And if you don't pay attention to when you're missing the putts, how you're missing them, especially when you're practicing, you're not really going to learn and you're just going to keep missing the same way. For example, for me, when I'm trying to make long putts, I often swing my arm out a little bit to try to get power and it misses right. And I notice I miss right on a lot of my long putts. So I make an effort to practice long putts outside circle 1, but really focus on keeping my hand straight the whole way so that it goes straight to the basket. There are going to be a lot of things that you're going to miss: high, low, left, right, not enough spin, too much hyzer. Whatever it is, try to keep a mental note every time you're missing something a lot and figure out what you have to do to fix it. This is also important when you're putting in the wind, when you're putting in poor conditions, maybe your hands are cold. Try to pay attention to all those factors and figure out what's making you miss and how it's happening. Now, I don't want you to do this when you're actually putting during a tournament. And once you've figured them out, you want to, again, with the other things, get them deep into your brain so you don't have to think about them anymore. Fix them and don't think about them when you're on the course. Again, everything should be automatic. Only think about how you're missing when you're in practice, fix it, and make it so you can't miss, basically. And number 5 is putting under pressure. While you can just throw 15, 20 footers, 25 footers all day and feel super comfortable there, when it comes to putting in a tournament, you're going to have to put your mini down. You're going to have to go through all the motions. There's going to be some pressure on you. People are going to be looking at you, and you only have one chance. If you miss it, you can't try again. You've already given up the stroke. There's nothing you can do about it. So in order to get good at that aspect of putting, you have to put yourself in situations where there is high pressure. Go through your whole routine. Put your mini down. Have 2 putters in your hand. Tell yourself, I'm not going to throw a second putter if I miss this. I'm going to go and reset and go to a different spot. or make a game out of it. Take 2 putters, maybe take 5 steps away, 6, 7, 8 steps away from the basket, force yourself to make that putt, and then go again and keep doing that with just 2 putters or 1 putter. Don't just rapid fire every single time you're practicing putting. Make sure you put some effort into putting yourself under as high of a pressure situation you can while you're practicing in your own time. This is probably the hardest thing to do because you're never going to have the same pressure you're going to have when you're on the course, but it's easy, especially during practice rounds or when you're practicing in your backyard or your basement or wherever, to kind of lie to yourself, and if you miss one, to just pick it back up and throw another one. And while that's fine for certain types of practice, you should have intentional high pressure practice. You have to force yourself to have either a small number or 1 chance to make a putt, because that's how it is in a tournament setting. I really think putting is the #1 most important thing. You might be able to bomb, do all sorts of cool shots and everything, and throw every disc and throw super hard and hit every gap, but none of that really matters, like I said in the beginning, unless you can make putts. So all 5 of these tips are things that I'm going to use in my practice. I think you should use them in yours. If you like this video, if you thought it was helpful, leave a like, subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Peace.